Alright guys, today I wanted to do an update on my previous Divine Intervention Commander deck that I did a while ago, 6 years or so. Can't quite remember, but yeah, I'm going to do an update. Lots of new cards have come out since then, and the deck has changed quite a bit. So this is going to be that. We start with Azorius the Enchanter. That's going to be the commander. That hasn't changed. Divine Intervention is still the same card. And then we're going to go, this is the game plan. You use Lost Aromancers or Academy Rector to try to put Divine Intervention straight onto the battlefield. And then you try to remove the counters with either Hex Parasite, Thrall Parasite, Vampire Hexmage, or Resource Defense. These are the ones that I've found work really well. You can also use these cards to remove the counters off of Lost Aromancers and get it to immediately put it Divine Intervention onto the field. So that works pretty good. How we're going to get there is lots of drawing. Necropotence is the most important piece of this puzzle. The rest can be replaced by whatever you decide to put in your deck, but these are the ones that I've gained success with. Night's Whisper, Gravestorm, Nico Eris, with those shard tokens, they work pretty good. And he's got a few other options here that help with the commander and some removal, a little tiny bit. Ever-Watching Threshold, Grasping Shadows. This is more of a passive strategy of drawing cards. Alright, and then we've got the defense. The most important defense we've got is Diplomatic Immunity, because you can search that with Zur and just put it right on him, and then he can't be the target of spells or abilities, and Diplomatic Immunity can't be the target. And then you also got Greater Aromancy. It's an important card as well. These other two work really well, 8.5 Tails and Karmic Justice, but they're also replaceable if you have a different strategy in mind. These two are really important and the other ones aren't. Alright, and then we've got the defense continued. So there's more defensive cards here. This is a good combo here. Cleansing Meditation and Enchanted Evening means that you can wipe the board of... This includes lands of your opponents as well. It just wipes the entire board, as long as nothing is indestructible, I suppose. And if you have more than 7 cards in your graveyard, you can return to play all of your things. So it's a really good combo to have in the deck that I feel is pretty powerful. And then there's all these other cards that I have that I find to be useful. Sought Coming, Counterspell, Willing Wave, Grasp of Fate, Cloud Cover, Force Bubble, Doomwake Giant, Aegis of the Gods, Sujiri Shelter, and Sujiri Glacier. This is a double-sided card. Bojuka Bog, and Arcane Lighthouse. Those are really good ones to have in there for defense. And then we've got the Pillow Fort. You got your usual suspects: Propaganda, Ghostly Prison. You got Sphere of Safety, Vortex, and Norn's Annex, and Windborne Muse. Those are all just for pillow forting. And then Silent Arbiter and Divine Presence are the most important things here, I think. Silent Arbiter, no more than 1 creature can attack each combat. No more than 1 creature can block each combat. Like, it bottlenecks your opponents, basically. And then Divine Presence does the same thing, but for damage. It bottlenecks the damage to a maximum of 3 damage. No matter how much damage you take from a single source, it will maximize the damage to only 3. So it reduces the amount of damage that you're going to be taking. You'll also notice that Silent Arbiter, is lacking a chair. It must have been stolen during the 2020 fiasco. That's just too bad. In the Pillow Fort Continued, we have Aura of Silence, Blind Obedience, Authority of the Consuls, Grand Arbiter Augustin IV, and Solitary Confinement. These two here, Grand Arbiter and Solitary Confinement, are pretty important for pillow forting. And you'll also notice the Grand Arbiter, the 4th, and Blind Obedience, they both have chairs in there, so they haven't been stolen yet. We're going to hide those so that they don't get stolen. It's very important that your chair doesn't get stolen. And then we're going to go on to the support here. We've got Copy Enchantment, Estrid's Invocation, Mirror Maid. These are all for copying enchantments, the most important enchantment to copy is Greater Aromancy. If you remember from the defense portion, Greater Aromancy is a good one to copy because then it can cover your entire field instead of just other enchantments. And then you got your tutors. Plead for Guidance is really good, and so is Mystical Tutor. These other two, Solve the Equation and Diabolic Tutor, aren't as important, but they work for me. And then we've got the Recovery. So when the worst has happened and something gets put in the graveyard that you need, or you need to return it back somehow, these are all for returning, or it's somebody gains control of your commander or something like that happens sometimes. Or Homeward Path is a good one for that. The most important ones here are actually Starfield of Nyx, Open the Vaults, or any of these effects like this. So Faith's Reward is a good one, but that's only single turns. Resurgent Belief is a good one. Rito Lantern is actually a very important card because it puts your enchantment, or it puts any card that you want back into your library. So the worst place in this deck for Divine Intervention to be is in your hand. You want to take it directly from the library and put it onto the battlefield. If you're casting Divine Intervention from your hand, it means the game has gone on way too long. Way too long. So you want like Silent Sentinel returns it from the graveyard straight to the battlefield. That one's a good one. But Rito Lantern is very important for putting enchantments back into your deck, and then you can search them with Zur when he attacks. And that's really good. Or even Hall of Heliod's Generosity, if you can put it on top of your library before you attack with Zur, and then attack with Zur in the same turn, you can put it directly into play. So those are good, and so is Mistveil Plains. They're all like these ones that put them into the library or directly on the field. These ones that return it to the hand, they're not as important, like the Treasury Thrall and Hannah Ship's Navigator. Yeah, those two aren't as important. They can be replaced if you choose, but these other ones are all very good at getting enchantments either back into the library or on the field. It's good. It's pretty solid. And then the lands. The lands are basically whatever you want them to be. I like the bounce lands, so I put lots of those in there. I put lots of bounce lands in all my decks just because I really like them. I think they're undervalued in some cases. I probably overuse them, but I just like them. And then there's like Nykthos is good because you're going to have lots of enchantments. And so even though you're not a monocolored deck, you're going to have lots of devotion. Depending on whichever enchantments you choose, your devotion is going to be still high enough that Nykthos is useful. And I think that's pretty much it. The rest are just all Sarah's Sanctum. It's really good, but it's also very expensive. I was crazy enough to get one of these. I have a Japanese version, actually. It's not even a English version, because the English version was too expensive for me. We already went through those ones, so that's the deck. And then here's a bunch of possible inclusions that could be useful because they also remove counters if you decide to change it up. As Foretold is a really good, like, I'm on the fence about adding it to this deck or not. It's actually really good. And so is Moonblessed Cleric. I like that one too, but it puts it on top of the library, which isn't as good as putting it into your hand or onto the battlefield. So I haven't really, like these ones, I haven't really decided to put in there. And then Archon of Fallen Stars is kind of like Silent, what is it? Silent Sentinel. Same thing, except for this one triggers when he dies, so it's not as good, but it's also cheaper in mana cost. So, and then Scholar of New Horizons could be good if you have more cards that have counters on them, but with only 2 cards in the deck that have counters in this one, I didn't see the need to put this one in there. Because yes, it will remove the counter, but you don't really get much use out of it because there's not very many other ones. I would put like Ferropede in before I put Scholar because he can be unblockable and just attack right in. So that's pretty good. And that's the deck. Yeah, I'll leave a link in the description of the deck list. I've updated it quite a bit, but yeah, and then I'll just make it public and people can comment on it. I've been having lots of fun with this for a while. I have lots of other decks that I've made too. This one I haven't actually played in a little while, but it is pretty fun to play. Even if you never win, nobody wins when this goes off because it is a draw.